wherever I'll go, I'm gonna talk about the things which usually people don't talk about. So what I have done is, along with the different disorders like depression, anxieties are very common among the youngsters also, and addiction is also very very common. So now with that, I've been talking about porn addiction, which is very common nowadays and among the youngsters. Porn addiction, sex education. So nowadays I've made sure I'll talk about all these things because these are a topic which people don't talk openly.
Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it isn't so. We found that with depression, one of the most important things you realize is that you are not alone. You are not the first to go through it, you are not gonna be the last to go through it. We are back again with another inspiring and enriching episode of One Voice, a voice that screams the name of unsung heroes who are working hard to bring a difference in the world. For today's interview, we have Mind Empowered. It was started in 2019 and aspired to bring the change of stigma of mental health. Mental health and its wellness determine an individual's qualitative abilities and help in gaining stability in all aspects of life. And it is also correctly said that money doesn't make a person rich and happy, but good mental health does. In contrast to the pandemic, huge cases of depression and mental stress, further leading to suicide, have been noted. From big celebrities to small entrepreneurs, all are tapped in that bit of deadly giant demon, which is nothing but depression.
Without much ado, let us start with the interview and the questions that we have prepared for you, sir. So, the first questions from our side is: inspiration is the need of an invention, and similarly is the root of a cause. Thus, to initiate, please tell our audience something about your inspiration and what made you start this initiative named as Mind Empowered.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So it gives me immense pleasure to actually to be a part of this NSS team, and thanks to you for this interview on a journey of Mind Empowered. And when we talk about inspiration, and I personally feel that my life itself has been a biggest inspiration for me because from a very young age I have been doing lots of social service, and as I was part of Sri Satya Sai organization from a very young age, I have been doing lots of seva activities and things like that. And for my bachelor's, I went to Puttaparthi for my bachelor's, Sri Satya Sai Institute of High Learning, and there also we were actually inculcate this habit of doing lots of social work. Then things were didn't work too well, as I was also having lots of issues with my life. So that's where I was introduced to counseling. And frankly speaking, till that time, I wasn't aware about this fact that there's something like counseling or something like psychology things exist. So when I myself had to visit a counselor, uh, later after that, when I got treated myself, I felt yes, this is something which I wanted to do. So that's where, after my bachelor's, I moved to Chennai, University of Madras, for my master's in psychology. And when I came back, I feel it was a part of my destiny to work for this particular cause, because from the very starting of my career, I have been working with mental health and addiction, because my first job was in a rehabilitation center for drug abuse and counseling. So that's where when I came across mental health, which is also a part of addiction. So when I was working with chemically abused people, I came across lots of comorbidity, which was part of addiction and also mental health. That's where I thought, okay, doing something on mental health is very important, especially in our society where we have lots of stigmas and taboos for mental health. So that's when we had a small group when we started working for the cause of mental health. And later, after a year, I joined St. Joseph's School, North Point, as a school counselor. And that's where I could not give much time to that particular group. So when I was in my doing my counseling in the school, and whenever I had this free period, so that's where I thought, okay, why not to do something? In places was sitting in my office. So that's where this thought of opening a page called Mind Empowered came out, and slowly and steadily we started working for it. And the basic motive and idea of Mind Empowered page was to just to educate people about the various aspects of mental health and mental illnesses. And I started the page, and like it was maybe 1st October. That's where I started Mind Empowered page to Instagram and Facebook. And later in 2020, my friend from Kerala, Ms. Sweta, and I joined me as a co-founder of Mind Empowered. And as of for now, we have made Mind Empowered a national platform where we are trying our best to educate people about the various issues of mental health and illnesses. And during this lockdown period, I was doing this free telephonic counseling across the hills area, and I came across lots of clients, lots of people who used to call me every day, and like we were having this counseling session. But later on, what I observed was, mm, I whenever I used to get a call from a youngster, 20, 25, 18, so they mostly knew what mental health is, what is depression, what anxiety. They knew something about it, but there were cases where I used to get calls from a very elderly person, like 40 plus or 50 plus, and it was kind of difficult for me to explain them about the different aspect of mental health, because they have been living in this society from a long year, and like they have this mindset like there's some nothing like mental health, things like that, because they are not aware, even aware of, like there's someone called psychiatrist, because the normal word which we use for psychiatrist here in our society is pagalako doctor, or maybe in Siliguri it's pagalka
Yes.
doctor. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's where I thought there was a very much need of making people much more aware about the different fact of my mental health. So that's where I, with my co-founder, we actually decided to do something. But as there was lots of cases going on in Kerala, so he could not do much. But I thought, okay, why not in Darjeeling? So luckily, with God grace, I collected few people, and altogether today we have 11 members in Mind Empowered, and we initiated a project called Project Disha. As you know, Disha is means direction, and
Direction.
here in Mind Empowered, we have given this given abbreviation for what Disha. Disha basically means directing inner self to heal and accept. So, with this particular motive of Disha, we started functioning and doing awareness programs across different areas and different societies of Darjeeling. And luckily, I am very much happy, because today, most of the people are talking about mental health. And although I know it's a long-term process, because the stigma cannot be removed just in one day, but I and along my team, we have been working a lot, so that somewhere we can make a difference in a society. So inspiration as such will be uh, me, myself, my life, and the principle which I followed. That's all.
Sir, as you mentioned that like the younger generation that like we and you, they know a lot about mental health and the issues that few people face, like depression and the things related to mental health. But the elderly people are not aware that much about mental health. So you have taken up this initiative to educate them. That is the first
Yeah,
step, I would say. And by educating them only we can like change and like direct them to a correct path.
yeah,
Okay, sir. Now moving further with the questionnaire, there are
yeah.
so many social issues which can be focused and worked on. Please tell us that why did you prioritize mental health among all other topics, especially when it's a taboo in India?
Uh, I personally feel that we have lots of NGOs in not just we have lots of NGOs around, like not just in Darjeeling, but around different places and cities of India. But none of them have been working for these issues on mental health. No doubt they have been doing lots of good work. They have been doing lots of like serving people, serving the society in a much better way. But I personally feel that taking up a mental health issue was you should be our biggest challenge and should be our first priority, because for every field, from a young child to a youngsters to an elderly person, everyone is suffering from mental health. And as we have a taboo, You yourself feel it's a taboo and a stigma for mental health, and taboo and stigma has to be removed somewhere or other day. Today, there was a time when LGBTQ was never given such kind of importance. But today, LGBTQ got its rights after a long struggle. So when such kind of taboos towards LGBTQ can be removed, then why not mental health, where each and every person is suffering from mental health? And there is this is like something like mind, body, soul. When you are mentally stable, automatically you will be physically stable. And when you are physically stable, your soul will be in a much positive and much enhancing its positivity around. So I felt that mental health should be our first priority, and maybe because it was my profession, it was something which I wanted to, it was my passion towards working for the people who are mentally ill. That's where I thought, no matter how difficult the situation is, no matter how difficult it is I have to face regarding this particular issue, I thought I should start. And luckily, we started, and I'm 100% sure that we are making some difference in many people's life. In the very starting, we had troubles, like making people understand. It's very, very difficult. But when I started giving them examples, and like when I started relating them with a life experience, they could relate with it. They knew they knew that there was something wrong in happening in their life, but they did not knew what exact term is used, like depression, anxiety, some phobia. There's lots of mental disorders which comes into play. They know they're having some kind of problem, but they don't know the proper name for that particular disorder. So that's where Mind Empowered came forward, and we have been working for this taboo and stigma. And luckily, uh, yes, changes are coming up. It's been 2 years I've been working in this field of mental health, and I have seen changes. There's a gradual increase in the people being aware about this fact, something called mental health. And luckily now, not luckily of course, but because of Sushant Singh Rajput's death, sorry, suicide, there was lots of issues which came up, and everyone is talking about mental health. So of course it was a very saddened part of his demise, but luckily because of his demise, there are lots of changes coming up, and people are talking about mental health.
Yes, sir. Truly said. Like there are various NGOs who are working in different fields, like providing shelters, providing foods, and providing different things which are truly necessary for an individual. But mental health is an issue which need to be brought to the people and come front, and they have to understand that there is an issue with it. This is not an taboo and not an thing which have to be hidden. So you're doing great, sir, as your profession is towards this only, and coming to off track and helping people is a great job you're doing. Really admire, sir.
So, for moving forward, we have one another question related to this, that the things that we are talking about right now, that what stigma is there and what taboo is there. So, sir, like there are proper and experimented steps that are really required to be taken in this situation of global concern. So, according to you, what are the steps that can be taken to change the social stigmas regarding mental health?
I think the first step is taken by Mind Empowered by making them educate. Basically, when you all were studying, when I was doing my schooling and bachelor's, we were never taught anything about mental health, or like anxiety. We have something like depression, we have something called academic stress, relationship stress. We were never taught about this. But today, when we are getting this opportunity to educate, so the first step has to be education. We have to educate people that there is something called mental health. There is something called mental illnesses. One just not just suffer from physical health, but there's something also called mental health. The first step has to be education. And when we look at the proper guidelines, and the steps which needs to be followed, then that is what DSM-5 and ICD usually gives. DSM-5 and ICD is a particular norms which most of the psychiatrists and psychologists follows, and it has a sets of different kind of disorders, the symptoms, and treatment and things like that. So basically, when we try to counsel people, we usually follow DSM-5 and ICD-10. But in Mind Empowered, although counseling is also part of it, but the first step right now what we are taking is doing just making people aware about different facts of mental health. We are trying to educate them so that later on they can understand that okay, they are suffering from something, so that at the end of the day they can come back to Mind Empower for seeking some kind of help. And that's where I feel we need to counsel them. And if not, then if they need much more like a proper therapist and a medical help, that's when where we suggest them to please visit a psychiatrist. So first and foremost, it has to be education. You just can't, you just can't go and you tell someone, oh my god, you are suffering from depression. So before telling that to a person, we need to educate them, right? So what exactly depression is, what are the symptoms of depression is. So when we start with educating them, they will try to understand, they'll introspect, oh my god, yes, I was also suffering from this kind of illnesses, I'm also having this kind of symptoms, what if I'm suffering from depression? So that's when they come back and talk to us. So right now, the first step to remove the stigma is we need to talk about mental health. The way we can openly say in a public that yes, I'm suffering from fever, I'm having a cold and cough. We should start telling openly, yes, I'm having a depression. Yes, I'm having the suicidal tendencies. I'm feeling like suicidal. I have lots of stress. I'm having anxiety attack. We should be open enough to talk about it. And for that, first and foremost step is education, education, and education.
So rightly said, one has to admit that they are going through mental problems, then only we can cure it well. But symptoms sometimes make us confused regarding the person's severe disability or health issue. There must be some indications which can give us correct judgment regarding the difficulty of an individual. What are the major criteria that states that an individual is mentally disturbed?
Okay. So let's take see, usually most of the symptoms for every disorders are kind of similar, but just few difference might give you a different direction in the disorders. The first and foremost thing which we have observed is negativity. Like you have lots and lots of negative thoughts. You have overthinking. Okay. And nowadays, especially during this COVID time, there was lots of anxiety attack or panic attack. That's what we have seen in most of my clients and also Sweta's client. And basic thing where they were very much scared of, like, my God, I might die because of COVID. And I still remember I had got one call from Calcutta. Both husband and wife, they are from Darjeeling, but right now they are based in Calcutta. And this lady was having this anxiety attack, and reason for it was COVID. So she was thinking maybe because of this COVID, I might die here, I might not meet my parents, things like that. Okay. So, but usually normal symptoms which we see is negativity, negative thoughts, overthinking, cannot pay attention to anything for a longer period of time, and you don't feel like eating, and yes, restlessness, fatigue. uh, then you have this insomnia. Sometimes you don't feel like sleeping, I know you don't get sleep at all. And guilt, regret, and grief of some, like when you lose someone, someone whom you loved a lot, you might have this grief. Even grief is a very serious issues. And most of the time, uh, people end with suicidal thoughts, and sometimes they even try to commit suicide. And these are mostly the kind of symptoms which we see in most of the difficult people, sorry, people who are like somewhere mentally ill. But again, I would like to clarify here is, see, these are the symptoms which normally everyone goes through. Like maybe you also might have, or even I might have, but that doesn't mean I'm mentally ill or you are mentally ill. For this particular sorry, for a person to be tagged as okay, he's somewhere mentally disturbed or he's having some kind of disorder, the kind of symptoms should go for a longer period of time. Just because you had today and if you are not having it tomorrow, that doesn't mean you have a mental disorder. So a particular this kind of symptoms like overthinking, like not being able to concentrate, all these things, and like negativity, insomnia, it has to go for a longer period of time, like 15 days to at least 1 month. So after that only we can say that okay, someone that particular person is suffering from some kind of disorder. But just because you're having it for 2 days or 3 days or 1 week, then that doesn't mean you have a mental disorder. Like in my case, once in a while I have this, like I don't feel like doing anything. I just want to be in my room. Like, if I want to watch movie, I just watch movie. I'll just not do anything. I'll just sleep, and it goes for like 1 week. Then after that, I'm fine. Because sometimes what happens is we are so busy with our life that we don't give time to ourselves. We are so mentally stressed because of our workload, family issues, relationship issues, academic for the students. We are so stressed that we forget to give time to ourselves. So when you have this kind of situation where you just don't feel like doing anything, that actually means that you need to give time to yourself by doing things which you like the most. I still remember when I was doing my masters, when I was in Chennai, there was a situation where I feel like doing nothing. Like I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to eat anything. I used to like take a leave from the college and just be in the room doing nothing. And that time, what I used to do, I just used to go out. Like just go around. There was a one Phoenix Mall nearby, so I just go around, just roam around there, eat something. If I have money, buy something. If I not, then just go roam around and come back. So I used to be fine by the time I come back. So these are the things which we need to understand, because nowadays, most of the people, they have few symptoms, and they just want to know what's happening to them, especially youngsters, and they just try to Google it. And Google is the best answer for everything. And they just, if they find that okay, these are the symptoms which comes under disorder like depression or anxiety or a stress or insomnia, things like that, they give them a tagline like, oh my god, I'm depressed, or I'm having a depression, or I'm having an anxiety. But that is not the case. If a person to be given a tag of a depressed person, he needs to visit a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist, get a proper testing for that. And once the doctor says yes, there are symptoms, these are symptoms of depression, or these are the symptoms of anxiety, then that person can say okay, I'm having a depression. Otherwise, that is just just wasting their time and energy, and they are psychologically telling themselves they are depressed. So whatever symptoms it is, that's what I'm trying to say. See, at the end of the day, you need to talk to someone. Either it has to be a psychiatrist, clinical psychologist, or a counselor. And see, it's not like just because you're having it for 2 or 3 days or a week, please don't waste your money and go to a counselor. If you're having it for longer period of time, like 15 days to 20 to 1 month, and it's actually disturbing your life, disturbing in each and every aspect of life, and that's the time when you really need to visit someone and share your
Yes,
stuff.
sir. Yes, sir. Like while listing some of the symptoms, it struck my mind that these major symptoms, like I go through frequently. Like last day I gone through this thing. Day after I go this. But you made me clear that these are the symptoms which everyone faces. But it's not that all are depressed or are mentally sick. It's just because of change of life or maybe change of work or something. If a person is going through these symptoms monthly or by 10 days or 20 days, then only he or she is considered as like depressed person or something sort of thing. So this
For
message is
that
like,
also you need to visit a counselor
yeah,
or
yeah,
a psychiatrist.
yeah. So this message is like very clear that if a person is suffering from mental health issue or depression, then he or she is suffering from it if he or she has that symptoms for a longer basis. So I think this message will create a great impact to our
And
viewers because they will understand when they are depressed or when they are suffering from mental issues.
and one thing I want to add on this also, Naveen, like there are few people who have this coping mechanism very nice, like they have this bouncing back, like what is that personality, or that like they can come out of a particular situation very easily.
Yes,
So they
yes.
are like, for me, I have this resilience power. So whenever I feel I'm depressed or whenever I have too much of stress, I do lots of things which actually help me to come out of it. So it's not necessary that every time you have to visit a psychiatrist, you have to visit a psychologist. See, whenever you're having such kind of symptoms, the first and foremost thing which we need to do is start doing the things which we like the most.
Yeah,
Going
live for
around, cooking,
ourselves.
yeah, do whatever which you like the most. And after doing all those things also, it's not helping you at all. No matter how much ever you are trying, it's not helping you at all. That's a time when you really need to visit someone. At the same time, there are people, who doesn't have this resilience power. So once they are depressed, means they are depressed. They cannot come out of that particular situation at all. So that's a time when we need to boost such kind of people's self-esteem so that they can come back to a normal life. So for those people, it's very necessary that they really need to talk to someone. So in your team, in NSS team also, if you feel that okay, there are some kind of behavior changes in someone, then that's a time when you need to talk to that person, like try to understand what exactly is happening to them. See, this doesn't mean just all those people who are very sad or very, like they're not talking to anyone, only those people commit suicide. That's not the case. A person who always talks, who is always happy, who is always making other people happy, even they can commit suicide, because they are happy and they are laughing in front of everyone, but they don't know, we don't know what's exactly happening inside his mind. That is also very much important. And see, there are people who are very reserved. There are very people who are very reserved from a very young age, who don't talk to people much. They are very kind of antisocial behavior. You don't go out, hang around people, things like. For them also, we need to talk to them, but understanding them is kind of difficult because as they are already reserved. So it's a difficult job to understand what exactly is happening to such kind of person. But we should keep on talking to such kind of person also. And the other thing is, if a person who used to talk a lot, who used to hang around with everyone, like helping for each and everything, he was very active person, but all of a sudden he's not so active. He's not talking to someone. There's some kind of behavior changes. So that is the time when like you need to talk to that person and listen to that person's problems and things like that. And the first and foremost thing, please do not be judgmental, because this is our basic thing which happens mostly when we talk to a close friend. When we share our close thing to a close friend, what happens is, as they know us very well, so they'll try to say, oh, you just had this particular situation, or you just had a breakup few days back, so because of that is happening. So they always have some other reason for that. But when you share your particular problem or particular issue to someone whom you don't know at all, like for example, if Navin comes and shares me some of his problem, of course I'll not be judgmental because I don't know him personally.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's a fact. Like even the ethics of counseling says that we're not supposed to counsel someone who is close to us, or family, or a friends. We always have to counsel someone whom we don't know, because when we counsel someone whom we know, automatically this judgmental things comes up. So
True, I
that's
agree
way
with you, sir.
you might also have faced a situation like some of your close friend want to, oh, I need to tell you something, I need to tell you something, and you're like, oh, I'll listen to you afterwards. We always have this habit of telling
Yeah,
to our friends, चलेगा यार, छोड़ दे, बाद में बात करते हैं, बाद में सोचते तो
yeah,
हमेशा
true.
का ऐसा ही है. So this kind of normal things comes up because we are very close friends. So but today, even I usually recommend people, there are if someone comes, if even it's a best friend comes and tells, I need to share something, please just open your ears and just listen. There's no need for you to give any kind of suggestion. No need to even tell them to, okay, you had this, you had that, or this is your problem. No, just listen to them, because sharing itself is a therapy. So when you share your thoughts, automatically whatever stress or whatever things is happening inside you, it just decreases. Like you even have heard, like if someone is crying, you always let them cry, because that crying will help them. It's the same thing. Sharing is also helps them to grow in a better person. So if tomorrow, if someone comes and tells you, please listen to me, make sure you listen to that particular person. Give him some time and listen to him.
Sir, so moving forward, as you rightly said, so social media plays an active role in reducing this attitude of the society regarding the psychologists and therapists or counselors. So what role the social media plays in this aspect also? I would like you to like further elaborate about it.
Yeah, I would say that social media, especially for mind empowered, social media has played a very important role, because as you know, mind empowered, there's a page in a Facebook and Instagram, but the kind of achievement which mind empowered have got today is all because of social media. Because I do understand only youngsters. Of course, there are a few people, a few elderly people who are in Facebook, but most of the elderly people are not in Instagram. So we have targeted Facebook and Instagram because that's where most of the youngsters, they come across, they see, and they are suffering this kind of situation. So they like our post. And every Sunday we have this tea talk also on various topic of psychology, disorder, things like that. So they enjoys it. And there have been situations where through social media I have got calls from some youngsters, and they tell me that, okay, in my village there are people who are suffering from this, could you please come and help us? Or my mother is suffering from depression, or my mother is having anxiety, things like that. And today, I feel social media has become a biggest platform where we can actually open up our thoughts, our ideas, and and exhibit kind of changes which is going on. I do understand there are people who have this idea which says that social media is a bad, or social media is influencing everyone in a wrong way. But I will say that that depends on person to person. If you are using a social media in a bad way, of course it's going to affect you in a bad way only. But if you use social media in a proper way for some kind of purpose, or some kind of helping or educating people, then automatically serves you in a better way. And that's what mind empowered did. And I feel, okay, it has achieved something. It is achieving, and I'm hopefully, I'll pray that this page later on turns into a website also, which we are also thinking about it. So social media, I think it's a very important, like for yours, NSS team also, one voice. Okay, so one voice also, social media is going to play a biggest role. Because see, this is a lockdown time, no one can come to a college and see the particular program, a particular interview of different people. But once you put it on social media, everyone watches about it, and lots of people get to know about it, different facts or different organizations, the different kind of people who are working for the betterment of the society. So I feel social media is, as of for now, is the best platform for everyone.
Rightly said, sir. As you mentioned that social media has done a very like positive influence for your initiative, I would say. But sir, I would also like to add upon one point that I used to like see a lot of YouTube videos related to mental health and like a few videos of few famous psychologists. So they used to like all of them had this similar thought of that we should live in present, that whenever we do anything we should live in the present and do it accordingly, and whenever we do anything we should be excited about that, not just that for the sake of doing we should do that thing, but yes, we should be excited so that it improves our blood flow in our body and it helps us like go through that journey, actually, I will say.
And this is a famous quote which I always say to all my clients is, past is past. You don't have a time machine. You don't have a time machine. Go inside time machine, go back to your past, change everything, and come back. So why do you want to break your head thinking about a past quarrel or a fight which you had with your loved ones? Why you're breaking your head? Because it's not going to change. No matter how much ever you think about it, it's not going to change at all. And the future, who knows about the future? When today COVID cases like increasing every day, I might die because of COVID tomorrow. I don't know about it. So why should we worry about the future which we haven't seen at all? It's very uncertain. So what we have today is our present moment. So if we make our present moment better, positive, happy, automatically our future will be happy, positive. It will be good future. But when if our present moment itself is very saddening, it's very bad, lots of negativity, then you cannot expect a better future also. Same thing with people, who have very high hopes and high ambition. Okay, someone wants to be an IPS officer. So to become that IPS officer, which is a future, you need to work in your present moment. That is, prepare yourself, study yourself as much as you can. See, if you don't study, if you don't prepare yourself, how will you become an IPS officer? So basically, past is past, future is uncertain. What we have this present moment, and we need to focus on this present moment as much as we can. So once we start making this present moment in a better way, automatically our future becomes better.
So your point is totally correct, sir. And like, yes, I had the similar thoughts. So I thought, let me share this.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. So you are putting your heart and soul to spread your word regarding the stigma. So, talking about your project, you have started a mental health awareness project where you created awareness about mental health and its importance. So, I would like to get some more information about the project, and please let our viewers also know about this project.
Okay. So as I already said, the name of the project is Project Disha. Disha came from a Sanskrit word which says direction. So, and that's what I think Mind Empower is doing. It's directing people. Okay, there is something like my mental health. You might even have something like mental health. So we are just trying to show them a way where they can actually, come out of their particular mental stress or mental instability. So, Project Disha, we have given abbreviation, directing inner self to heal and accept. And the basic motive of Project Disha is to aware people about mental health and mental illnesses. And we have, I think we completed four, I think four awareness program till now, because it's a
Okay.
COVID time and it's kind of difficult for us to enter someone's village. It's because there are lots of contaminated places in Darjeeling itself. So sometimes we do get calls from the people who came across, like Mind Empower. They know someone of Mind Empower, any of our members or things like that. So, but still we are having this problem of going to our different villages and asking them if they really wanted to do something awareness program on mental health itself, because the people themselves don't understand what mental
Yeah.
health itself is. So going there and telling them, okay, I want to do a mental health awareness program is kind of difficult, because first of all we need to make them understand what exactly mental health is. So what I do is, if for example, if we have prepared, okay, if some village has called us for an awareness program, I always ask them who the audience are.
Yeah.
If they say, okay, it's a woman, all the mother of that particular village, or is the parents or old age people, or if just a youngsters. So depending on that particular audience, I prepare myself. When it comes to elderly person, I try to tell them our different aspect which usually elderly people goes through, because for them coming out of this particular thinking of, like, that stigma and taboos of mental health, it's very difficult. So I have to uh, tell them in such a way, give them lots of examples of real life experiences and things like that, just to make them understand about mental health and things like that. Okay, but when we comes to youngsters, right now I've just made my mind that, okay, wherever I'll go, I'm gonna talk about the things which usually people don't talk about. So what I have done is, along with the different disorders like depression, anxieties are very common among the youngsters also, and addiction is also very very common. So now with that, I've been talking about porn addiction, which is very 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 common nowadays and among the youngsters. Porn
Yeah.
addiction, sex education, menstrual cycle. We have something called PMS, which premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It's a menstrual disorder which all the ladies goes through. So nowadays I've made sure I'll talk about all these things, because these are a topic which people don't talk openly.
Mhm.
People, okay, see, porn is something which everyone watches, both girls and boys. Okay, and every age of people watch it, but no one knows the kind of effect is actually giving to people. Like last year, I think one of the statistics which shows that 98% of people who watches porn is youngsters,
Yes.
and that is actually affecting them mentally and physically both. So nowadays, I am like very much open about talking about all these things, talking about the menstrual cycle and things like that. And I think we have been, because I don't know but I have always received a very good feedback from the wherever we go, because as is a topic which no one talks about.
Yeah.
and and yes, even I understand porn addiction, sex education, everyone is very much interested to talk about. So that's where also even the youngsters, they are very much interested to talk about all these things. So yes,
Yeah.
it's working well. But the problem which we are facing as of for now is we are being not being approached, because we cannot go. But at least if someone could call us, like, let us know if
Mm.
they need some kind of facilities, and of course we will make sure we'll go to that particular place. But without knowing anyone, we cannot go. So wherever we go, what we do, the first thing what we do is we try to get a mediator from that particular place, one person who can actually handle things for us. So that way, the person comes and let us know, he handles everything, and that's where we go, and we actually, for 1 or 2 hours, we actually prepare this awareness program and make them aware. And today, nowadays, mostly in Darjeeling, what I have seen in each and every villages is a youth club.
Mhm.
A youth club is being formed, and there's lots of government funding also for this all this youth club. So sometimes I even go to motivate those youth club and help them out, okay, and tell them you can even do something on mental health or something on addiction. See, because most of the youth club, what they does is they'll just arrange some kind of program, some kind of celebration, football match, something, some kind of. But uh, I always request them, please start looking on something on mental health also. Because see, I am working, I understand, but maybe I'm alone not enough for this particular topic of mental health. And it's such a huge topic that where each and every person needs to speak about. So if they can come and join me, or if they want me to join them, if they want me to help, I'm always ready. But I'm just requesting everyone to please start talking about mental health.
Thank you for watching this interview. We will be back soon with another episode featuring another hero of our society. Till then, help the needy around you and stay connected with us. Thank you so much.